Welcome dear students, this is Miss Nupur and in this video we are going to study chapter number 4, urbanization. Now according to the revised syllabus, for this chapter we need to cover the following topics. The first one is urbanization, its meaning and causes. Then we have positive and negative impacts of urbanization. The next topic is satellite cities, then concept of smart cities and examples from the world. So let's begin. Now we often think of the city as a modern or recent development, but cities have existed for thousands of years and have their roots in the great river valley civilizations of Mesopotamia, Egypt, India and China. Cities play an important role in all our lives today and will continue to do so in the years ahead. After the Industrial Revolution, urban centers grew rapidly, and over the past 50 years, there has been an explosion in the growth of cities, both in their numbers and in their size. This is called urbanization. Now we think that the city is a modern concept or a very recent development, but cities they have existed for thousands of years. And what is the evidence? The great river valley civilizations of Mesopotamia, Egypt, India and China's cities, they play a very crucial role, very significant role in all our lives. Okay, after the Industrial Revolution, now what is Industrial Revolution? Industrial Revolution is an 18th century movement, and in this movement what happened is the machines were introduced, and machines changed people's way of life as well as their methods of manufacture. So after the Industrial Revolution, urban centers grew rapidly. So urban centers, they increased, and over the past 50 years there has been an explosion in the growth of cities, both in their numbers as well as in their size, and this is what is called urbanization. So urbanization refers to the shift of population from rural to urban areas, and it is the gradual increase in the proportion of people living in urban areas, and then how the people they adapt to the changes taking place in the society. What does urbanization mean? So urbanization, as I explained, refers to the general increase in the population and the extent of industrialization of a settlement. So urbanization is the increase in the population, the general increase in the population and the extent of industrialization of a settlement. It includes an increase in the number and expanse of cities. So increase in what? In the number and the expanse of cities. It symbolizes the movement of people from rural to urban area. So the shift of population from rural to urban areas. The fundamental difference between urban and rural is that the urban population lives in larger, denser and more heterogeneous areas as opposed to smaller, small, more sparse and less differentiated rural places. So what is the key difference, the fundamental difference between urban and rural? So urban population, they reside, they live in larger, denser and more heterogeneous area, whereas rural, they are small, more sparse and less differentiated places. Urbanization is a process of transforming human societies, changing human societies. Rural culture is being rapidly replaced by urban culture. So these days, rural culture is being rapidly replaced by what? It is being replaced by urban culture. Urbanization is closely linked with these two things. One is modernization and industrialization. While urbanization has intensified in terms of growing mega cities, the overall rate of urban growth has consistently declined in most regions of the world in the past half century and would continue to decline probably in the coming several decades. Now, during the last century, global populations have urbanized rapidly. They have given this graph, a graph showing the urbanization trend of today and in the near future. And we have countries like Asia, Africa, Europe, Oceania, Latin America and the Caribbean, Northern America. So, during the last century, global populations have urbanized rapidly. 13% of people lived in urban environments in the year 1900. So, in the year 1900, 13% of people lived in urban environment. Now, 29% of people lived in urban environments in the year 1950. One projection in the graph provided suggests that by 2030, the proportion of people living in cities may reach an average of 60%. So there is this increase, right, in the percentage. The rapid growth of cities like Chicago in the late 19th century and Mumbai a century later can be attributed largely to rural-urban migration. Means people migrating from rural areas to urban places. This kind of growth is especially commonplace in developing countries. Prior to 1950, the majority of urbanization occurred in MEDCs, that is, more economically developed countries. Rapid urbanization took place during the period of industrialization that occurred in Europe and North America in the 19th and early 20th century. So, rapid urbanization took place during, the period when industrialization was happening. So, during the period of industrialization that occurred in Europe and North America in the 19th and early 20th centuries. Many people moved from rural to urban areas. Why? In order to get jobs, for employment opportunities, to get jobs in the rapidly expanding industries of many large towns and cities. Since 1950, urbanization has slowed in most MEDCs, and now some of the biggest cities are losing population. Why? Why are these biggest cities, some of the biggest cities, they are losing population? Why? What's the reason? Because now people are moving away from the city to rural environments.